You're awake at 2 a.m. again, scrolling through messages that never came, rehearsing apologies for things you didn't do. Listen closely. That aching in your chest is not a defect. It's a signal. It's the part of you that remembers a life you promised yourself and never finished. I'm going to speak to that part now. I'm going to ask you to stop explaining and start listening. They taught you a story. The crowning moment of a man is to be chosen, to be wanted, to be loved. It's in lullabies, in movies, in the polite question at family dinners, when will you settle down? So you learned to measure worth by who sits beside you. You learned to trade things, mornings, reckless projects, the sharp edges of your hunger, for the warm lie of completion. You called it noble, the honest truth. You handed your map away. Every time you beg for acceptance, some part of your sovereignty is cleaved off. Every compromise to belong carves a notch in your future. Nietzsche named this herd morality, the soft doctrine of the many that praises obedience and punishes exception. The herd whispers that solitude is shame. Nietzsche and those who suffered for truth told us otherwise. Solitude, when born on purpose, is a forge. Picture two men. One molds himself into a shape that will fit someone else's life. He softens his instincts, edits his desires, avoids conflict. Years pass. His projects stall. His voice thins to polite sentences. The other refuses domestication. He risks cold nights, so his mornings remain wild. As silence trains him, discomfort teaches him. He becomes dangerous, not cruel, but ungovernable. This is not hatred of love. Love is not the enemy. The enemy is substitution, when belonging is treated like medicine and becomes anesthesia. Nietzsche's will to power is not petty domination. It's the force to expand yourself. Skill, thought, creation. Bonhoeffer, who paid for truth with prison and death, showed that cheap consolation kills costly commitment. Machiavelli turned exile into an education on power. Tesla chose solitude not out of bitterness, but to keep a lens on the lightning. Their solitude birthed clarity, not emptiness. Here's the uncomfortable twist. The world's praise of coupling is partly a tool, not necessarily a conspiracy, more an efficiency. A society benefits when most people are predictable, teachable, governed by affection. Dependence is manageable. An individual who needs constant validation is pliable. If you want to win, the herd's exaltation of partnership functions like a soft leash. Ask yourself, when did dependence sharpen you? When did validation ever clarify your purpose? Rarely. Instead, it sedates. It steals compound interest from the future you could have built. The hours spent waiting for a text, the nights erased by anxiety, the projects abandoned to make room for someone else's comfort. Those are not small losses. They compound into a life unfulfilled. This is practical asceticism, not moral grandstanding. It is strategy. Build a protocol. Protect your mornings like a sanctum. Guard the first 2 hours of your day as sacred. Create a 30-day solitude experiment. 1 hour daily for mastery. Writing, learning, lifting, building. No scrolling, no bargaining, no apologies. Track the ledger of time. How many hours do you donate to validation versus craft? Practice saying no deliberately. Learn boundaries as muscle. Think of your will as a river. Validation spreads the current into many thin irrigation channels. Solitude is the dam that concentrates force. When released, the torrent moves mountains. There's a real danger. Solitude can be a mask for cowardice, a refuge for someone afraid of real intimacy. Don't mistake strategy for avoidance. The point is not to hate people. It's to refuse their ownership of your life. Love must be optional, not medicinal. When you arrive at love from fullness, you choose with power. When you arrive from hunger, you surrender. Stories teach this better than mandates. I knew a man who wrote letters at midnight, poured himself into every message, then woke hollow, rearranged his days around replies. Years later, he realized those nights were a slow theft of momentum. He stopped the barter only when the shame of wasted talent outweighed the fear of being alone. The moment he stayed single by choice, his life swelled. Time returned. Projects finished. He became a man who could choose rather than be chosen. History offers sharper examples. Leonardo's obsession required self-exile from the small talk of the court. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince in exile, clarity forged by removal from comfort." Nietzsche composed aphorisms in solitude. His law was harsh because it was honest. Tesla's loneliness was not misfortune, but discipline. These men weren't punished by solitude. They were purified by it. Now the brutal economic truth. What you give to others, you cannot give to yourself. Energy is finite. Every ounce of passion spent on proving your worth to someone else is an ounce not spent on mastery. Two men, same month. One spends 100 hours chasing attention. The other spends 100 hours mastering. One wakes exhausted and small. The other wakes sharper, closer to sovereignty. Which life would you rather live? There will be nights that feel like loss. There will be the primitive panic that once kept you in tight-knit groups. Embrace it. Turn it into fuel. Nietzsche's concept of self-overcoming demands execution of the old self. Weak self, the one that constantly seeks approval, must be buried. Not with malice, but with ritual. Every no to dependency is a small execution. Every hour of disciplined solitude is a funeral and a birth. Adopt amor fati. Love your fate. Not tolerate it, but love it. Say to your life, I would live this exact life again and again. This radical acceptance is not resignation. It is armor. It transforms suffering into sovereignty. And yes, the herd will call you cold. They will test you with pity, with charm, with the old questions. They mock what they cannot domesticate. Let their judgment be a mirror, not a manual. Their discomfort is the cost of your clarity. Practically transform hunger into habit. Replace 1 hour of mindless scrolling with writing. Replace 2 evenings of people-pleasing with disciplined study. Build the body until it obeys you. Build the mind until your words cut like precision instruments. Build the work until it reshapes reality. Here's another uncomfortable truth. You cannot fully have both extremes. You cannot be domesticated for belonging and sovereign for conquest simultaneously. Trying to split your will results in a slow compromise where both halves die. Power demands focus. Focus costs, and the currency is comfort. When you choose solitude as strategy, you don't swear off love forever. You choose to be whole first. You choose to love from abundance. When love arrives into that life, it does not complete you. It accompanies you. That is an entirely different union. 2 sovereignties choosing to share a larger project, not 2 needers clinging in the dark. So now, if you are willing to test this, make a public pact with yourself. For the next 30 days, carve out 1 hour each day. No social media, no messaging, no emotional ledger, only craft. Write your name on 1 page. Under it list 1 project, 1 skill, 1 promise. Do 1 small, measurable action toward it every day. Each night, write 3 things you protected that day. An hour, a boundary, a refusal. This is not theater. It is training. It converts loneliness into a laboratory. It makes silence the sound of a blade being sharpened. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel that small, stubborn ember under your ribs. The urge to make, to expand, to be more. Name it aloud if you must. Protect it with silence. Feed it with time. Let it grow until the world cannot ignore it. Repeat this sentence with me. I will no longer kneel for approval. I will not barter my future for a warm night. I will be sovereign over my time, my energy, my destiny. When you wake tomorrow, do one thing without explanation. Choose the forge over the flock. Choose the silence that builds. Choose the suffering that sharpens. Stay single until your will to power is undeniable. Stay single until your work becomes your language. Stay single until you can choose love without needing it. This is not exile. It is initiation. The man who begged is buried. In his place, a sovereign rises, colder, clearer, untouchable, not by cruelty, but by completeness. The world will test you. Let it. Let their tests temper you. If this resonates, if the old shame is a signal and not a sentence, accept the right. Guard your hours. Protect your hunger. Hone your silence. Become the man who can choose, not the man who must be chosen. You were never meant to hide in the crowd. You are meant to stand above it. Solitude is not punishment. It is a crown. Wear it until you have earned the right to share it.